In today's economy, more people than ever are looking to buy and sell businesses. But how do you do it? Welcome to the Deal Board, presented by Transworld Business Advisors. Straight talk about real deals and real people. Listen to stories, interviews, and expert advice to help your business sale, merger, or acquisition process. Now, here are your business exit experts, Andy and Jessica.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Deal Board. And today I was in the southeastern United States, and we were visiting with our brokers from there. And I was in Greenville, South Carolina, a booming place. And then I got a little confused because we had our brokers from North Carolina, we had our brokers from Georgia, specifically the Atlanta region, of course, Raleigh and Charlotte. And those are just, the Southeast is just a great place to do business. And there's a lot of big companies moving there, right, Jess?
Yeah, I mean, both South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia, really big small business markets. So, and we've talked a lot about this in our other regional shows, but just the percentage of small businesses all across the United States is huge. And in South Carolina, you're looking at 99.4% of all South Carolina businesses are small businesses. I mean, Georgia's 99.6%. And North Carolina is 99.6% as well. So really, really big small business states, and they really drive the economics in those states.
Yeah, and of course, driving that economics is the in-migration. Those populations are growing. People are moving to the greater Southeast area, whether it be Georgia, whether it be North Carolina, whether it be the Research Triangle outside of Raleigh, or whether it be Greenville, where there's jobs from big companies moving in, like the big BMW plant. I mean, it's just a booming area. We have some amazing brokers in that area. Chris Mitchell out of Atlanta, JT Tatem out of Greenville. I think we talked to Stephen Wright from Raleigh. I forget who else, but I mean, we had a great meeting. Jack Sluiter from Charlotte. So some great interviews with them. And then we have an update from Stearns Bank.
Right. And Stearns has been a great partner with Transworld for a very long time now, but they're experts in business acquisition financing and really have helped a lot of buyers get into business through their strategies. So it's always great to have them on the show, as well as, the updates that Andy spoke about. Really good, again, to understand the dynamics of the market, and especially small businesses, how they're being bought and sold in different areas of the country. So some great interviews today. Also got a great deal of the week from John Roman in Georgia as well, and a listing of the week. So we've got a great show lined up for you today.
Yeah, great show. Let's get to it.
Transworld Business Advisors is the world's largest business brokerage and mergers and acquisitions firm, with over 500 brokers in nearly 200 offices worldwide. Transworld's team handles thousands of business sales every year. To be connected with a qualified business broker or learn more about the buying and selling process, visit tworld.com/the deal board or call 888-719-9098.
Hey, we're back, and we have another very special guest today talking about the southeastern United States and what's so great about doing business down here. And we are live in Greenville, South Carolina, and we have our very dear friend, Jim Tatem, JT, with us today. And he has his own franchise here in Greenville East, Transworld Business Advisors of Greenville East. And he is going to tell you why he chose this area of the country to kind of put down his next roots.
Thanks, Andy. And it's great to be back on the show. And, you talk about Greenville, the Deep South, the Bible Belt. I'm a New York guy originally, went down to Florida, spent 30 plus years there with United Franchise Group. And now we're in South Carolina. And so we're affectionately called halfbacks because we went from New York to Florida and halfway back. Or they call you damn Yankees. And I said, what do you mean damn Yankee? They said, well, the Yankees left, the damn Yankees stayed. So apparently I'm a damn Yankee now. But why did we pick Greenville? Well, Greenville was just recently rated by Forbes magazine as one of the best southern cities because it's anchored with a main street area in Greenville. Greenville Main Street itself is an area that was completely refurbished and revitalized. It used to be a mill town. In fact, that's where Greenville was really known for, was textile industry. A lot of the South Carolina area is. But then it became home to BMW, and now Michelin's headquarters are here. And there are some medical and laboratory headquarters that are here as well. So just a lot of influx of manufacturing that gives way to a lot of supporting businesses that are helping those different industries, and that then means an influx of people, which means infrastructure, new buildings, new apartments that are going in, new hotels that are opening. They're actually putting 3 new hotels downtown. We're getting ready to have a boutique bohemian hotel right on the Reedy River at Liberty Bridge. Well, what we have is we've got the Greenville East Territory. So we've got a franchisee that's in Greenville West and Anderson that goes down towards Clemson. And then we have another franchisee that's in the Spartanburg area. And we kind of run just between those two. And the density of business for Greenville County, Lawrence County, all the way up to the North Carolina border is just immense. And a huge influx of people coming here, week in, week out, day after day. They can't build the places fast enough to keep them filled. And so that was probably the biggest deciding factor for us, was the fact that it is, from a business perspective for TBA, that's who we serve, buyers and sellers of businesses. It is just a mecca of new industry and people coming in here looking for new opportunities. So whether, someone's looking to start a brand new franchise, and we have a lot of buyers looking to do that, or taking over an existing business that's already here, cash flowing positively, et cetera, et cetera. Greenville's that spot. It also helped that I have a daughter here with 4 grandkids, and Mama said, if we're going to go somewhere outside of Florida, we're going there. And we get 4 seasons. In Florida, we got hot and hotter. Those are the 2 seasons, but we've got all 4 seasons here, a little bit of cold weather. My wife gets to put on her turtleneck. She's in heaven. And then the spring and summer, and we're to the mountains. You're 2 hours from the shore, et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a great spot to do business.
All sounds like a great place to move to. And obviously, if they want to get in touch with you, JT, what's the best way?
My email is jttatem, that's JTTATE as in Echo, M as in Mike, at tworld.com. And our office number is 864-315-8998.
Great having you on.
Hey, Andy, do you know what time it is? It's time for our deal of the week.
Deal of the week. Sold.
Welcome back, everybody. And today we have with us John Roman from the Transworld Atlanta office, and he's going to share a deal with us. And something we haven't talked about in the past is just the importance of understanding what a buyer's going through and what else is going on in the buyer's life during a transaction. So, John, tell us a little bit about this transaction. I know it got delayed. What was the reasons for the delay in the deal?
Thank you, Jessica. Glad to be on the podcast with you. So basically, we had this great company, it was in the moving and delivery services, and we had a lot of buyers, a lot of interest coming from people from, Georgia and also all over the country that they wanted to be part of that industry. And this company happened to be one of the best in North Atlanta. And, we got this buyer who I knew as being a former business broker. That's how we got the buyer. We didn't get it from any business by seller anywhere. We just got it directly from networking. And she came in and she gave us an offer without even talking to the seller. After that, we had a meeting with the seller. She loved it even more. And she wanted to move in and start dealing with the banks and going through the process and having everything done with the SBA. However, we got a full approval from the bank in the first week of January, and then we stopped hearing from the buyer. So the loan is approved. We are on the due diligence trying to get the loan closed, and there was no word from the buyer. 6 weeks later, we found out that actually the buyer was trying to acquire another business that was much, much larger than the one we were dealing with. And she had a hard time getting approval of that business. And once I heard that, we obviously changed the entire process. And we are trying to, I had communications with the buyer sometimes five times a day, trying to get her to the closing table on our deal and forget about their deal. However, while we were talking and trying to get our business closed, the other bank, who was actually supposed to approve the other deal, came up with a decline letter. And, obviously at that point, the seller got really upset because he had to wait an extra month. But luckily, we were able to close. And, we dealt with good third parties, and we were able to close the deal successfully for everyone.
That's great. That's great. And it's a great learning lesson for, sellers, especially because there are buyers out there that are shopping multiple deals at a time. Sometimes we'll be in due diligence with multiple deals at the exact same time, might be waiting for another deal to close or something in there, but really diving deep and getting to learn the buyer's motivations, which it sounds like you did a great job of, John, and got this business sold for the seller. So congrats on the deal. And thanks for sharing it with us.
Thanks.
Hey, we're back with Joe Santora from Transworld of the Triad here in North Carolina. And, we're talking about the Southeastern United States. What a great place to be for business and to move and be an entrepreneur. And the Triad is hot. And Joe's about to tell you why.
Sure. So for those that aren't familiar, the Piedmont Triad area is in the middle between Raleigh and Charlotte. It's about an hour and a half in either direction. And this particular area continues to grow. Just recently ranked in the top 100 in the country by livability. And a recent article from the National Association of Realtors said that while the housing market seems to be flatlining in the majority of the country, this particular area is still in the top 10 on the upswing. It's a strong area for business, constant growth. A lot of organizations and big companies continue to move into the area and expand. It's also a great family place.
Yeah, that's always important. In-migration is always great. And when big companies come, lots of people, open up small businesses as well to support those larger businesses. So, Joe, what's the best way to get in touch with you if someone's interested in relocating here?
I can be reached at 336-355-0250 or triad@tworld.com.
Hey, we're back and we're furthering our conversation on the Southeastern United States, which is a great place to live, work, and play. And one of those great cities, great banking city, is Charlotte. And we are with some of our top producers here. We're with Todd Albaum and Jack Sluiter. And they're going to give us a little bit of an update of what's happening in the marketplace down there.
Thanks, Andy. Charlotte. What can be said about Charlotte? Tell you what, I've lived in the jungles of South America, and I've lived up in the frozen north of Michigan area. Charlotte's just the perfect place, and obviously, I'm not the only one that thinks that way because it's growing rapidly. Charlotte is, I don't know all the numbers right now, but I know that one time our zip code that was right next to us was the fastest growing zip code in the U.S. for a while. There's good reason to come to market or come to Charlotte, and how that relates to our business specifically. One thing I have noticed in talking with our other franchise offices is that the multiples we're getting on businesses are notably higher than what the national average is. I mean, we've got a lot of buyers, and I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a very high percentage of our buyers that are coming from out of state. Like we just mentioned earlier, the Jersey buyers, multiple times. We're getting people from Jersey, from Florida, from Michigan, from all over that are coming in, and so I think that's driving up our multiples. We've got a really good hit rate on listings when we put them up there, and so it's a good place to live, and there's we're seeing a lot of results for it.
Thank you, Jack. This is Todd speaking. I call Charlotte a big little city. I come from New Jersey. I'm a Jersey boy, and Charlotte is one of those pockets where you've got people coming from multiple cities, and they say that 56 or 60 people per day move to the Charlotte metropolitan area. It's also known as last in, first out whenever there is some sort of upturn in the economy, which is always nice to know. Let's talk about the airport for a second. Recently, they updated the airport. Charlotte Douglas Airport is one of the busiest airports in all the United States, even in the world, because it's a tremendous hub for major airlines as well as to get to some major cities. Brings a lot of people to Charlotte. With regard to my particular listings that I have, a lot of out-of-towners. They're moving to Charlotte. So sometimes I'm very antsy and I want to sell it right away. When I see they're moving to Charlotte, I know it will delay a sale. But the upside is, let it be known that that Charlotte is a big little city and there's tremendous opportunity. I agree also with what Jack says with regard to the multiples. You'll probably score a higher multiple on a business in the Charlotte market. It has a tremendous economy. I'm part of a group called the Charlotte Business talks about the health and well-being of the particular city. And the economy of Charlotte itself has always been on a very strong point, and it's expected to grow even more. Thanks.
Charlotte's a great place to do business, obviously, and to build a business with all those people coming in. Thanks, you both, for coming in. Thanks, Todd. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Hey, Jessica, you know what time it is?
Money time?
Almost. It's time for listing of the week.
Hey, we're back, and it's listing of the week, correct? And we have Steve Wright from Transworld Business Advisors of Raleigh. Welcome, Steve. And he's just listed a few good businesses, so you might want to call him about a few good ones, but he's got one for you right now. Steve, take it away.
So we're really excited. We just this past week, we listed three really good, solid businesses. One's a local restaurant with a SDE of over 367. We also listed a bakery with an SDE of 211,000. And then, but the list I want to talk about today, it's actually the largest pool company in the state of North Carolina. It's been around for 40 years. They just signed a pool contract for over $600,000. I think their annual revenue's almost $5 million a year. And like I said, their SDE is over 363,000 a year. So we're really excited about this listing. We think that it'll sell quick. I think it's the type of listing, someone in the local Raleigh market would love to grab, but it's probably something that somebody would want to move in for.
Great. And is you have a price on it?
Yeah. So our listing price on this one is 1.7, but it comes with property.
Great.
So this owner has a retail location that does over $1 million in retail. And so he's going to be selling all of that property, obviously, the building everything with it. So
that's great. And how best to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way to get in contact with me would be cell phone is 919-379-5776, or they can email me at swright@tworld.com.
Great. Thanks for coming on today, Steve. Three for everybody. Hey, we're back, and we are talking about the Southeastern United States again, and we are going to talk about the great city of Raleigh. And we have Steve Wright here from Transworld Business Advisors of Raleigh, and he's going to give us a little bit of background to why things are going so great there.
Yeah, Andy, I think most people, if they follow the news or anything, they really are familiar with Raleigh and just the explosive growth. I mean, the exponential growth there, just absolutely phenomenal. I think maybe for the last 25, 30 years, Raleigh's been on the top 1, 2, or 3 places to live in the U.S., and so with that, you have the RTP, which is the Silicon Valley of the East. You've got a lot of universities, Duke, UNC, NC State. And so, we occasionally get to put up with the rabid NC State Wolfpack fans. And so it's a great place to live, a great place to do business. You're really close to the mountains. You're really close to the beach. So all of that area, Cary, Apex, it's just really exploding.
Yeah, and it's great for small business owners. I mean, the Research Triangle area, lots of big companies coming in. When big companies come in, a lot of small companies come in as well. So great place to be an entrepreneur. And so if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to talk about some of the businesses that you might have for sale, how best to reach you?
Yeah, so the best way to reach Tina and I, we probably can be reached either by phone, 919-379-5776, or Steve or swright@tworld.com. And, we're new agents up there in Raleigh. Since January, we've listed 21 businesses for sale. We probably have about 150 to 170 buyers that have contacted us. And so Transworld has really given us the platform to do great business and represent our clients well.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a booming area. Thanks for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
Hey, we're back, and we're talking today again about the Southeastern United States and kind of giving an update. And we're here with Chris Mitchell, and he's from the northwest side of Atlanta. where his office is located, and he's going to give us a little update on why it's such a great area to do business.
Thank you, Andy. Our office is primarily located in Smyrna, Georgia, which is on the northwest side of Atlanta in Cobb County. It's a booming part of Atlanta, due in no small part to the recent relocation of the Atlanta Braves baseball stadium. SunTrust Park is right smack in the middle of Smyrna, Georgia. As you can imagine, that generates all sorts of economic activity. It's a tremendous draw. It's way more than just a baseball field. There's a whole community there of residences and businesses. It's almost like a small city inside of the city. So Smyrna, Georgia, and indeed Cobb County are regularly listed as the top places in the country to move, to relocate a family, or to own a business. We really do have a thriving economy, and with the continual influx of new residents, it's a tremendous place to own a business.
Sounds like a great place to be a small business person. All right, how can they get in touch with you if they want to move to Atlanta?
Yeah, come on down. We'd love to have you. You can reach me by email at cmitchell@tworld.com or by telephone at 404-600-1205.
Hey, we're back, and we have one of our special partners with us today, Tom Ethen from Stearns Bank. And boy, we're just closing deals with you guys. How are things going, Tom?
Well, it's going great, Andy. I appreciate the offer and the invitation to be with you today. It means a lot to us. As you mentioned, there's a lot going on with Stearns Bank and with the Transworld system, and we're excited about where things are heading. But we got great volume and always looking to do more.
Yeah, so we were just together at our annual conference, our 40th anniversary celebration, and you picked up a deal from it that, is a pretty good, it's just, shows the process and, the successes that you have. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that deal?
Yes, Andy, I'm glad you brought that up. As you mentioned, not only did we complete a transaction, but more importantly, we created a new relationship, which is always important when it's, in our business and in your business. We had the opportunity to meet one of your owners, one of your territory owners, Albaum, who's in the Georgia market, and he was new to us. He's relatively new to the system, but hadn't worked with Stearns Bank in the past, and actually had a chance to catch up with him kind of by accident in the hallway and at your conference, the 40th anniversary conference. And he mentioned to me that he had a transaction pending right now, that needed to get done very, very quickly. And that was actually on a Thursday afternoon of the conference. So I quickly linked him up with Mindy Campbell, one of our experienced lenders here at the bank. And within a day, by the next day, Friday, she was in communication with the buyer. And by Friday afternoon, we had the full application here. And within 4 hours, we had that transaction completely approved. And the transaction then eventually actually closed before the end of the month. So it was literally about a 20-day process from me actually meeting Carl to getting his transaction closed. And so those are always fun stories to tell. Those are the things that really get us energized every day when we're able to complete transactions in that manner.
Yeah, well, you've been closing a lot of transactions for us, and we really, really appreciate it. And there's been a lot of success stories. So, why don't we talk a little bit? We were talking about today, we're talking about the Southeast United States and what a great place it is to do business. It's growing. There's in-migration. There's all kinds of things, especially where Carl's from in Georgia, Atlanta, and the North Carolina and South Carolina corridor. You seen a lot of business in those areas?
We certainly have. We've done work with your system in that area, but as we've talked about before, Stearns Bank is also a nationwide lender. We have loans in all 50 states. So we're very active in that region, and as well as in the entire country. And so we're excited to take what we do and really bring that nationwide. One of the tools that we have and that we actually used in the case of Carl's client is what we call our Fast Track program. Most people know the SBA program goes up to $5 million, which we do. We actively participate in the entire program up to $5 million. But we've recognized that for transactions of $350,000 and under, $350,000 and under, there's really special attention that those transactions deserve. And when I mentioned a 4-hour approval, That's what we do on all transactions of $350,000 and less. We collect really an abbreviated application, some basic information from the borrower, and we quickly hustle through that and get them a final approval in 4 hours. And our customers have really been excited about that, and they've found a lot of value in that as it allows them to really move quickly through their transaction and start working on other components of their transaction that's probably much more important than the financing.
I'm not sure there's anything more than important than money in a deal. So you are an incredibly important part of our deals, and we appreciate that. So let's talk a little bit about, the current climate, right? Interest rates up, interest rates down. It's going to drop a quarter of a point. It's going up a quarter of a point. What are you seeing out there?
Well, that's a good question. Like most people, we don't always know exactly what's going to happen. I do know that there's been a little hesitancy out there in the small business market because for the last 2 or 3 years, we have been in somewhat of a rising interest rate environment.
Right.
Rates haven't gone up significantly, but we've seen some hikes in that. What we have been seeing lately, though, is that things have really leveled off, and there's actually some talk that short-term interest rates might actually go down a little bit in the future. But I think the message out there to small businesses and maybe those individuals that are thinking of purchasing a business is that right now is a great time to do that because the rates are good, the cost of funds is very reasonable, and from that standpoint, now is as good a time as any to make a move on a transaction like that.
Yeah, we tell that all the time. I mean, I talk about a couple of sectors that I'm really surprised that aren't more active. Of course, the M&A market is incredibly active, but I'm surprised that more graduating kids from college aren't jumping in and buying a business. I mean, you think about how much they spent in getting an education. Some of them could leverage, their parents or other people to buy a business and go out there. And then the other sector that I see that I'm surprised isn't more active, but you could talk to this too, is other companies buying other companies, small businesses buying small businesses.
Yeah, those are really good points. And one thing that I would say to that is the small business program, really plays right into both of those sectors. Students that are maybe college graduates, maybe have limited work experience, they're going to have a tough time finding credit outside of the small business program. But inside the small business program, that's what it's really designed for. For those individuals that maybe don't have all the financial resources that someone else might have, and for those folks that don't maybe have quite the depth of experience that other people might have. As you mentioned, those folks oftentimes can partner up with friends or family members, and they can get a transaction done. They could start a business, they can buy a business, and do that very effectively with the small business program. And I agree also on the acquisition. We see a good opportunity to also use the SBA program for not only business acquisition, but even succession planning, where maybe the business owner wants to sell their business to a key employee or a manager or a family member, or as you mentioned, maybe it's just a business-to-business transaction. But both of those types of transactions are very good fits for the SBA program, and so there is a huge opportunity for that type of activity here in the future.
Yeah, and you are gearing up for not only finishing out the year, but for next year. You're hiring a few new people?
Yeah, we've got, we're really getting ready for the volume. We're excited about what we've got going with the Transworld system and are expecting increased volume there as well as, volume throughout the country. And most people have been for a number of years familiar with Jack Postregno of our office, does a great job in handling those transactions. But to do the volume that we're anticipating to do, we've got a couple other lenders. They're actually not new hires, but they're experienced lenders with us that are going to focus also on these programs and products. I've got Jeremy Goals and also Joshua Borgening, both individuals who were with me at your 40th anniversary conference.
Yeah.
Are also going to really focus and be available to provide that great customer service that folks have come to expect and enjoy from Stearns Bank.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't heard of Stearns, why don't you give a quick recap of, I say I made it sound like you're just brand new to the world. Stearns has been around for a little while.
We've been around for a little while, a little over 100 years now, but that part isn't quite as important. We've been under the same control now since the mid-'60s. We're an ESOP bank, so that means that a large portion of the bank is actually owned by the employees, so our ESOP. And we are a nationwide small business lender as well as a nationwide provider of small ticket equipment leases. And you're right, we've been around for a long time. We've been a preferred SBA lender for almost 40 years, and not a lot of lenders can say that. So we're very proud of that history. But we also understand that, you're only as good as your next transaction.
Right.
And that history is great, but even though we've been a top performing bank year after year after year, we have to work hard for our customers and the people that we work for every day to make sure that we continue on with that tradition.
Well, that's all great stuff. Tom, what's the best way someone could get in touch with Stearns Bank if they want to get a loan? And, of course, we'd love them to call Transworld to get some assistance in any of those cases. But, if somebody just needs a loan for succession planning, or if they already have a deal going, how can they best get in touch with you or your team?
Absolutely. I would be more than happy to take that call directly. As you mentioned, if they're buying a business, make sure you call Transworld first. And if you have any other financing needs, they can call me directly. And my direct phone number is 320-258-4802. And my email address is tome@stearnsbank.com. And that's STEARNSBANK.com. I would be happy to take those calls and emails and make sure that these folks get pointed in the absolute correct direction.
Well, and you guys are a great resource, of course, for Transworld, but for small business owners in general. So thank you so much. Thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it as well, Andy. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for tuning into our show today. If you like the podcast, don't forget to subscribe through your favorite podcasting app and leave us a review. If you have questions or suggestions for the show, visit us at tworld/thedealboard or email us at thedealboard@tworld.com.